everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am here with Kurt because he hasn't been in my channel for so long. So before we start today's topic, I'm going to be answering a few questions that I got on IG.
About the living cost in London and how you see like Asian moving to London to start a family.
Okay, so London is really expensive. It's not as expensive as Hong Kong, but it just really depends on where you live. There's Greater London and there's Central London. So if you're living in Central London, your rent might be £400 per week, but if you're living in Greater London, it could be £150 per week. And it also depends on what's near you, like schools, supermarkets, the train station, bus stops, just those kind of things. And it also depends on your building, like you might be living in a fancy condo or you might be living in like a shared house, so it just depends. So if I was to compare London to Hong Kong, I would say living in central London, like Tottenham Court Road, Oxford Circus, Piccadilly Circus, Regent Street, like those areas are like living in Central or Admiralty or Causeway Bay. Basically central areas is going to be more expensive than living on the outskirts.
For sharing kitchen and toilet and stuff?
Yeah, so like you would rent a room and then you would share your kitchen and bathroom with the people who live in your house. So yeah, that's like shared houses, but it's definitely more expensive if you're gonna have the space to yourself and you have like a one-bedroom apartment with separate rooms. But it's definitely cheaper to live in Greater London than Central London. So the other question about Asians moving to London and Korea, etc., I'll talk about in another video. This video is mainly going to be about food and stuff. Okay, so now we're going to talk about today's topic, which is food. So ask me questions.
So what supermarket do you have in London?
So we have Waitrose, Aldi, Sainsbury's, Tesco, Whole Foods, Iceland, Marks and Spencer's. Yeah, I think those are the ones that I can remember. There's definitely more supermarkets.
So what supermarket is well known for quality?
I would say Waitrose and Whole Foods and even Marks and Spencer's is well known for quality.
How about the price then? Is it like...
I mean, it's definitely more expensive than if you go to like Asda or Tesco or Aldi. But yeah, like if you want a comparison, I would say that Waitrose and Whole Foods is kind of like the City Super or Marketplace by Jason's in Hong Kong. But if you want something good and affordable, like when I was a student, I always went to Sainsbury's because they have organic vegetables there and it's actually affordable. It's not that expensive.
In Hong Kong, there's some supermarket will like 24 hours open.
Yeah, like Welcome.
Some of it, but like not all office. But like, how about the supermarket in UK or London?
So the ones that I know, there's a 24-hour Tesco and there's a 24-hour Asda, and those supermarkets tend to be huge, like really big. They have everything. Asda has more than other supermarkets because they actually sell like bed sheets and stuff as well. Oh. So a lot of university students tend to go to Asda and buy all their like cups and plates and bed sheets all from Asda. And these places tend to have car parks as well, like really big outdoor car parks. So
you know, in Hong Kong there's 7-Eleven, Circle K, that kind of convenience store everywhere 24/7. So is that a lot of convenience store in UK as well, like 24/7?
So we used to have 7-Eleven in the UK. I don't know what happened to it. It like disappeared. So instead we have corner shops, and the reason why it's called corner shop is because it's usually at the end of a street in the corner, and those corner shops sell like newspapers and cigarettes and like things that you need like quickly, and they are open for 24 hours. But it's not like 7-Eleven in Asia where you can, you know, heat up food or make cup noodles or microwave and like make tea and coffee, and it's nothing like that. And it's not as bright either, like it's kind of dark.
So will you guys like go to supermarket every single day, or like you go once a week or once a month?
Okay, so like depending on where you live, like if you're living right next door to a supermarket, then you obviously might just walk to the supermarket and buy your groceries every single day. But people tend to live like not that close to a supermarket, especially if you're picky, like you rather go to Waitrose than Asda or something. You would buy in bulk. You could either order, and they have delivery services like Ocado, so you can do like weekly shopping or monthly shopping through Ocado. Or yeah, like if you have a car, you can just drive and get your weekly shopping. Yeah, so people tend to buy frozen food because it doesn't expire so quickly.
So you guys won't really choose fresh food?
If you're busy and you don't have time to cook, then you wouldn't. Like usually you would get frozen food.
So is there any East Asian supermarket choice in the UK?
In London, yeah.
Yeah, in London you can recommend?
So there are several East Asian supermarkets, but it's not like a chain supermarket like Tesco where you can just find it anywhere. We have supermarkets like scattered around. East Asian people definitely prefer to go there because that's where you can get all the imported foods. I would say that these supermarkets tend to just mix everything together, so it will be like Chinese, Japanese and Korean food all in one, or even like Vietnamese food and Thai food, it would all be there as well. There isn't so many, but for example, if you live in Golders Green, then you'll probably find 2 Asian supermarkets, or if you live in like each area has at least 2 or 3, I would say.
So it's not that hard to find like East Asian food supermarket?
Yeah, it's just a lot smaller than a typical supermarket.
It's not like Donkey and stuff in Hong Kong, obviously.
Yeah, Donkey is huge. If you don't know what Donkey is, it's like this massive Japanese, like, it's like a shopping mall. Well, we don't have that in London. But yeah, I would say like the best thing to do is just Google like wherever you live. So if you live in Piccadilly Circus, you could be like Japanese supermarket Piccadilly Circus, and then it will pop up like the nearest one. And these shops also do delivery, like if you want to buy a bag of rice and like really heavy items.
So I can just order online even?
Yeah, you would tend to like call the shop. And the people who work in the shop can speak Japanese. They would hire like people who can speak Chinese or Japanese.
Depend
or Korean.
What shop you go there.
Yeah. So obviously if you go to like a Korean supermarket, they would mainly speak Korean. So then you can just order on the phone, and
but they still speak English, right?
Definitely, yeah, they definitely speak English there.
So for example, I only want Asian, like Chinese food. Should I just go for Chinatown? Will I just definitely find a lot of like supermarket there, right?
In Chinatown, you'll definitely find a lot of Chinese food, but they will mix it up as well. Like they will add other Asian like food, like Korean and Japanese, but it will be mainly Chinese food in Chinatown. Yeah, because Chinatown is seen as like a touristy area, and obviously if food is imported, like we can't grow some of the vegetables that Asian people can grow in Asia, so all of those are imported and it might not be as fresh. Yeah, you don't have to go all the way to Chinatown just to get like Asian food. There's also a Koreatown in New Malden, which is pretty far.
So let's talk about delivery service.
We do have delivery services just like Hong Kong. We have Uber Eats, Deliveroo, Just Eat, Hungry House. Yeah, those are the ones that I know because I've used those services before. You can even call up the restaurant or shop that you like and just directly order from them as well.
But like obviously need to be around you. They won't like
yeah,
all the way.
It would have to be in the area.
Yeah. So I have another question for Asian people. Is there a lot of Asian food delivery around? No matter what area you're in, you will find like basically everything that you want.
Yeah, you will definitely find like sushi or like Chinese food, Korean food. I would say Chinese food is more popular because Western people love eating Chinese food. But let me just add that it would be like Western style. So
do you have any suggestion about London local food?
So the thing about London is it's such a multicultural city, which means that there's so many people from other countries living there and they've opened up their restaurants. So it's just London is more famous for having Italian food or Japanese food or Korean food. It's like Spanish food is all mixed up. So if you want really traditional British food, you would go somewhere in Yorkshire or somewhere northeast to have those kinds of food. Like, yeah, especially if you want like a good traditional, good quality one. Like you wouldn't go to London for that. It's not famous for that. We do have a lot of cafes where you could have like English breakfast. I would say that that's more popular, but then you can find that anywhere. Like it doesn't have to be London, you can find that in Manchester or Birmingham or like anywhere.
So after you can't eat anything, is there a lot of choice for you to eat?
Definitely compared to Hong Kong. So like if you don't know, I'm intolerant to pretty much everything. And London...
You've been vegetarian?
Vegan.
Oh, vegan for a few years, right?
Yeah, so I was vegan for 6 years. So there are a lot of vegan restaurants in London. Because there's a lot of people with like different diets in London or like people with allergies, there will be a section on the menu for like those people.
Like basic every single...
It wouldn't be everything, like, but I would say like if you go to a vegan restaurant, then you'll definitely find some like gluten-free options on there. But yeah, like if you go to most restaurants, they will have a vegetarian menu and a normal menu. And obviously you would tell people as well like, oh, I can't have this and this, and they would alter. It's definitely more friendly than like Hong Kong. Like people care about your allergies because you could just sue the restaurant if they put something in, you're like, I'm allergic to peanuts, and then they put it in. It's like obviously it's the restaurant's fault. So
okay, so even supermarket you get much more choice.
In supermarkets there's a lot of choices. Like we would have a separate area for vegan, like dairy-free, gluten-free foods. Because there's just so many people with like allergies and they take it more seriously in London. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you don't want to go to a fancy restaurant, there's places like Nando's and Pizza Express. But yeah, Nando's is quite popular because it's affordable. There's also another place called Wagamama, which I don't go to because it's fake Japanese food. People love Wagamama, but I think like any Asian would understand that it's not a place for Japanese people to go to. Like, we'd rather go somewhere else.
So what Wagamama in Japan mean? Does that mean nothing?
Wagamama means selfish. They have like katsu curry and gyoza and like those kind of things, but it would be made in a very like Western way. So the taste and the sauces they use, the seasoning is just not Japanese.
That's why Western people love it.
Yeah, that's why Western people love it.
Especially for them then.
Yeah, it's basically made for them.
Okay.
But I personally like wouldn't go there to eat. And one of my favorite Chinese restaurants in London is Royal China, and there's one near in Canary Wharf. It's like near the Thames River, so there's like a nice view.
What Chinese food is? It's like yum cha or something.
Yeah,
Dim sum.
they have dim sum. They have like other dishes, a lot of dishes. Eating, obviously McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, those kind of places are cheap. They're fast food. Those would be same as Hong Kong, like what, $60 for a meal, right? Or cheaper.
Hong Kong would be cheaper.
Oh no, it might be cheaper, like depending on what you get, but I would say about £5. You would pay around £5 for a meal.
I think similar then.
But then if you go to Nando's or like Pizza Hut or something, I would say you would spend around £13 per person.
13
like
pounds.
13, like 130
100 something.
Hong Kong dollars. But then if you're going somewhere else, like it's not like a chain, because chain restaurants tend to be cheaper. Like to eat in central London at like a Italian restaurant, I would say you would eat like 200 Hong Kong dollars, £20. That's like the minimum.
Okay.
There was one time
for one meal.
For one person.
Okay.
Yeah, and it might not even, the portion might not be that big, so people tend to get like appetizers and a drink, and then it adds up, like it's more expensive.
So today basically cover everything, right? About food and supermarket and living
and takeout. But yeah, if you do have more questions, then just leave a comment down below.
Obviously it's going to have something other topic coming soon.
So after this video, we're gonna talk about travel and like clothes, as in like fashion and where to shop and that kind of stuff. We will also do another video on tips, so like the crucial things that you must know, you know, like banks and GP and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And phone.
Oh yeah, getting a SIM card, and we'll do like a separate video on that. But anyway, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't seen part 1, make sure to watch that and subscribe to my channel if you're new here. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.